pick it up here on giving thanks. I think hopefully I got this far in class to the David Petrarchus argument. So I'm going to pick it up here. If you want to read along with me, great. If not, it's fine too. Let's get going. Giving thanks. The Pilgrims gave thanks at Thanksgiving because the Native Americans saved their sorry butts from starving. I give thanks at Thanksgiving because my mother finally goes to work and my father orders pizza. My normally harried rush mother always turns into a strung-out retail junkie just before Turkey Day. It's because of Black Friday, the day after Thanksgiving, the start of the Christmas shopping season. If she doesn't sell 1 billion shirts and 12 million belts by Black Friday, the world will end. She lives on cigarettes and black coffee, swearing like a rap star and calculating spreadsheets in her head. The goals she sets for her store are totally unrealistic, and she knows it, but she can't help herself. It's like watching someone caught in an electric fence, twitching and squirming and very stuck. Every year, just when she's stressed to the snapping point, she cooks Thanksgiving dinner. We beg her not to. We plead with her. Send her anonymous notes. She doesn't listen. I go to bed the night before Thanksgiving at 10 p.m. She's pounding at her laptop in the dining room table. When I come downstairs Thanksgiving morning, she's still there. I don't think she slept. She looks up at me in my robe and bunny slippers. Oh, damn, she says, the turkey. I peel potatoes while she gives the frozen turkey a hot bath. The windows fog up, separating us from the outside. I want to suggest that we have something else for dinner, spaghetti maybe, or sandwiches, but I know she wouldn't take it the right way. She hacks the guts of the turkey with an ice pick to get the bag of body parts. I'm impressed. Last year she cooked the bird with the bag inside. Cooking Thanksgiving dinner means something to her. It's like a holy obligation, part of what makes her a wife and a mother. My family doesn't talk much, and we have nothing in common, but if my mom cooks a proper Thanksgiving dinner, it says we'll be a family one more year. Kodak logic. Only in film commercials does that stuff work. I finish the potatoes, and she sends me to the TV to watch the parades. My dad stumbles downstairs. How is she? He asks before he goes into the kitchen. It's Thanksgiving, I say. Dad puts on his coat. Donuts? He asks. I nod. The phone rings. My mom answers. It's the store emergency number 1. I go into the kitchen for a soda. She pours me orange juice, which I can't drink because it burns my scabby lips. The turkey floats in the sink. A 10-pound turkey iceberg, a turkeyberg. I feel very much like the Titanic. My mom hangs up and chases me out with instructions to take a shower and clean my room. I soak in the bathtub. I fill my lungs with air and float to the top of the water and then blow out all my breath and sink back down to the bottom. I put my head underwater to listen to my heartbeat. The phone rings. Emergency number 2. By the time I'm dressed, the parades are over and Dad is watching football. Confectioner Sugar dusts the stubble on his face. I don't like it when he bums around the house on holidays. I like my dad clean-shaven and wearing a suit. He motions for me to get out of the way so he can see the screen. Mom is on the phone. Emergency number 3. The long, curly cord snakes around her thin body like a rope, tying her to a stake. 2 drumstick tips poke out of an enormous pot of boiling water. She is boiling the frozen turkey. It's too big for the microwave, she explained. It'll be thawed soon. She puts a finger to her free ear to concentrate on what the phone is telling her. I take a plain donut from the bag and go back to my room. 3 magazines later, my parents are arguing. Not a rip-roar, a simmering argument. A few bubbles splashing on the stove. I want another donut, but don't feel like waiting through the fight to get it. They retreat to their corners when the phone rings again. Here's my chance. My mom has the phone to her ear when I walk into the kitchen, but she isn't listening to it. She rubs the steam from the window and stares into the backyard. I join her at the sink. Dad strides across the backyard wearing an oven mitt and carrying a steaming turkey by one leg. He said it would take hours to thaw, mutters Mom. A tiny voice squeaks from the receiver. No, not you, Ted. She tells the phone. Dad lays the turkey on the chopping block, picks up his hatchet. Whack! The hatchet sticks in the frozen turkey flesh. He saws back and forth. Whack! A slice of frozen turkey slides to the ground. He picks it up and waves it at the window. Mom turns her back to him and tells Ted she's on her way. After Mom leaves for the store, Dad takes over for dinner. It's the principle of the thing. If he gripes about the way she handled Thanksgiving, then he has to prove he can do a better job. He brings the butchered dirty meat and washes it on the sink with detergent and hot water. He rinses off his hatchet. Dad, just like the good old days, right, Melly? Fellow goes out into the woods and brings home dinner. This isn't so difficult. Cooking just requires some organization and the ability to read. Now get me the bread. I'm going to make real stuffing the way my mother used to. You don't need to help. Why don't you go do some homework, maybe some extra credit work to pull those grades up? I'll call you when dinner's ready. I think about studying, but it's a holiday, so I park myself on the living room couch and watch an old movie instead. I smell smoke twice, wince when the glass shatters on the floor, and listen in on the phone to his conversation with the turkey hotline lady. She says turkey soup is the best part of Thanksgiving anyway. He calls me to the kitchen an hour later with fake enthusiasm of a father who has screwed up big time. Bones are heaped on the cutting board. A pot of glue boils on the stove. Bits of gray and green, yellow roll in burping white paste. Dad, it's supposed to be soup. Me. It tasted a bit watery, so I kept adding thickener. I put in some corn and peas. Me. Pulling a wallet from his back pocket. Call for pizza, I'll get rid of this. I order double cheese, double mushroom. Dad buries the soup in the backyard next to our dead beagle, Ariel. Wishbone. I want to make a memorial for our turkey. Never has a bird been so tortured to provide such a lousy dinner. I pick out the bones out of the trash and bring them to art class. Mr. Freeman is thrilled. He tells me to work on the bird, but keep thinking tree. Mr. Freeman, you're on fire, Melinda. I can see it in your eyes. You're caught up in the meaning and the subjectivity, the effect of commercialism on this holiday. This is wonderful, wonderful. Be the bird. You are the bird. Sacrifice yourself to abandon family values and canned yams. Whatever. At first, I want to glue the bones together in a heap like firewood. Get it? Tree, firewood? But Mr. Freeman sighs. I can do better, he says. I arrange the bones on a black piece of paper and try to draw the turkey around it. I don't need Mr. Freeman to tell me it stinks. By this point, he has thrown himself back into his own painting and has forgotten we exist. He is working on a huge canvas. It started out bleak, a gutted building along a gray road in a rainy day. He spent a week painting dirty coins on the sidewalk, sweating to get them just right. He painted the faces of the school board members peering out from the windows of the building. And then he put bars on the window and turned the building into a prison. His canvas is better than TV because you never know what's going to happen next. I crumple the paper and lay out the bones on the table. Melinda Sordino, anthropologist. I have unearthed the remains of a hideous sacrifice. The bell rings and I look at Mr. Freeman with puppy dog eyes. He says he'll call my Spanish teacher with some kind of excuse. I can stay for another class period. When Ivy hears this, she begs permission to stay late. 2, she's trying to conquer her fear of clowns. I don't know what that word is there. Some weird sculpture, a mask behind a clown's face. Mr. Freeman says yes to Ivy, too, and she waggles her eyebrows at me and grins. By the time I figure out that this might be a good time to say something friendly to her, she's back at work. I glue the bones onto a block of wood, arranging the skeleton like a museum exhibit. I find knives and forks and the odds and ends bin and glue them so that they look like they're attacking the bones. I take a step back. It isn't quite done. I rummage to the bin again and find a half-melted palm tree from a Lego set. It'll do. Mr. Freeman hangs on to everything a normal person would throw out. Happy Meal toys, lost playing cards, grocery store receipts, keys, dolls, a salt shaker, trains. How does he know this stuff could be art? I pop the head off of a Barbie doll and set it inside the turkey's body. That feels right. Ivy walks past and looks. She arches her left eyebrow and nods. I wave my hand and Mr. Freeman comes over to inspect. He almost faints with delight. Mr. Freeman, excellent, excellent. What does this say to you? Darn, I didn't know there'd be a quiz. I clear my throat. I can't get any words out. It's too dry. I try again with a little cough. Mr. Freeman, sore throat? Don't worry, it's going around. Want to tell me to tell you what I see? I nod in relief. I see a girl caught in the remains of a holiday gone bad, with her flesh picked off day after day as the carcass dries out. The knife and fork are obviously middle-class sensibilities. The palm tree's a nice touch. A broken dream, perhaps? Plastic honeymoon, deserted island? Oh, if you put it in the slice of a pumpkin pie, it would be deserted island. I laugh in spite of myself. I'm getting the hang of this. While Ivy and Mr. Freeman watch, I reach in and pluck out the Barbie's head, and I set it on top of the bony carcass. There's no place for the palm tree, so I just toss that aside. I move the knife and fork so they look like legs. I place a piece of tape over the Barbie's mouth. Me, do you have any twigs, like little branches I could use to make them into arms? Ivy opens her mouth to say something and then closes it again. Mr. Freeman studies my homely project. He doesn't say anything, and I'm afraid he's pissed that I took out the palm tree. Ivy tries again. It's scary, she says, in a weird way. Not clown scary. How do I say this? Like, you don't want to look at it too long. Good job, Mel. That's not the reaction I was hoping for, but I guess it's positive. She could have turned her nose up or ignored me, but she didn't. Mr. Freeman taps his chin. He looks way too serious to be an art teacher. He's making me nervous. Mr. Freeman, this has meaning, pain. The bell rings. I leave before he can say more. Peeled and cored. We are studying fruit in biology. Miss Keene has spent a week teaching us the finer points of stamens and pistils, seed pods and flowers. The earth is frozen. It snows lightly at night. But Miss Keene is determined to keep spring alive in her classroom. The back row sleeps until she points out that apple trees need bees to reproduce. Reproduce is a trigger word for the back row. They have figured it out. It's related to sex. The lecture on pistils and stamens turns into a big ha-ha. Miss Keene has been teaching since the Middle Ages. It would take more than a row of overheated hypothalami, to distract her from the day's lesson. She calmly proceeds to the hands-on portion of the lab. Apples. We each get a Rome or a Cortland or a Macintosh and a plastic knife. We are instructed to dissect. The back row holds sword fights. Miss King silently writes their names on the blackboard, along with their current grade. She takes 1 point off for every minute the sword fight continues. They go from low B's to very low C's before they figure out what's going on. They howl. Back row, that's not fair. You can't do that to us. You didn't give us a chance. She takes off another point. They saw out their apples. Mutter, mutter, curse, curse, old cow, stupid teacher. David Petrakis, my lab partner, cuts his apple into 8 equal wedges. He doesn't say a word. He's in the middle of pre-med week. David can't make up his mind between pre-med and pre-law. 9th grade is just a minor inconvenience to him. A Zit cream commercial before the feature film of life. Apple smell smokes the air. One time, when I was little, my parents took me to an orchard. Daddy set me high in an apple tree. It was like falling up into a storybook, yummy and red, and leaf and the branch not shaking a bit. Bees bumbled through the air, so stuffed with apple they couldn't be bothered to sting me. The sun warmed my hair, and a wind pushed my mother into my father's arms. And all the apple-picking parents and children smiled for a long, long minute. That's how biology class smells. I bite my apple, white teeth, red apple, hard juice, deep bite. David sputters. David, you're not supposed to do that. She'll kill you. You're supposed to cut it. Didn't you even listen? You'll lose points. Clearly, David missed the apple tree sitting requirement of childhood. I cut the rest of my apple into 4 fat pieces. My apple has 12 seeds. One of the seeds has a split in its shell, and it reaches a white hand upward. An apple tree growing from an apple seed growing in an apple. I show the little plant seed to Miss Keene. She gives me extra credit. David rolls his eyes. Biology is so cool. Okay, before we move further, since you're here, this paragraph should go in your chart for the shizzle, okay? This is heavy imagery. It's beautiful, it's tender, it's loving, it's this great memory she has, and the tone here is such a contrast to everything else in the book. It is really, really good. So this writing, this paragraph, this is wonderful. And if you're listening right now to old McKinsey, this is going to be on the final for the shizzle, this exact paragraph right here. Just so you know. Okay, keep reading. First Amendment, second verse. Rebellion is in the air. We only have 1 week left before winter break. Students are getting away with murder and the staff is too worn out to care. I hear rumors of eggnog in the faculty lounge. The revolutionary spirit is even breaking out in social studies class. David Petrakis is fighting back about the freedom to speak thing. I get to class on time. I don't dare use a stolen late pass with Mr. Neck. David takes a seat in the front row, sets a tape recorder on his desk. As Mr. Neck opens his mouth to speak, David presses the play and record button at the same time, like a pianist hitting an open chord. Mr. Neck teaches the class straight. We are galloping toward the Revolutionary War. He writes, "No taxation without representation" on the board. Very cool rhyming slogan. Too bad they didn't have bumper stickers back then. The colonists wanted a voice in the British Parliament. No one in power would listen to their complaints. The lecture is going to sound great on tape. Mr. Neck has prepared notes and everything. His voice is as smooth as new poured road, no bumps. The tape will not be able to pick up the angry gleam in Mr. Neck's eyes, though. He glares at David the whole time he's speaking. If a teacher stared murder at me for 48 minutes, I turn into a puddle of melted jello. David just stares back. The school office is the best place to go for gossip. I overhear the soundbite of the Petrakis' lawyer while I wait for another lecture from my guidance counselor about not living up to my potential. How does she know what my potential is? Potential for what? When she talks, blah, blah, I usually just count the dots in her ceilings. The guidance counselor is late today, so I sit invisible in the red plastic chair while the secretary brings a PTA volunteer up to warp speed on the Petrakis thing. David's parents have hired a big, nasty, expensive lawyer. He is threatening to sue the school district and Mr. Neck for everything from incompetence to civil rights violations. David's tape recorder is allowed in class to document potential future violations. The secretary doesn't sound too upset about the idea that Mr. Neck could get canned. I bet she knows him personally. David must have mentioned the hairy eyeball treatment to his lawyer that afternoon because the next day, there's a video camera set up in the back of class. David Petrakis is my hero. Wombats rule. I let Heather talk me into going to the winter assembly. She hates sitting alone almost as much as I do. The Marthas have not issued an imperial invitation for her to sit with them. She's bummed, but she tries not to show it. In perfect Martha style, she wears a green sweater with a huge Santa face on it, red leggings, and fluffy boots. Too perfect. I refuse to wear anything seasonal. Heather gives me my Christmas present early. Bell earrings that chime when I move my head. This means I'm going to have to get her something. Maybe I'll go wholesome and buy a friendship necklace. She seems the friendship necklace type. The bells were a great choice. I shake my head all through Principal's speech to drown out his voice. The orchestra plays an unrecognizable tune. Heather says the school board won't let them perform Christmas carols or Hanukkah songs or Kwanzaa tunes. Instead of multicultural, we have gone no cultural. The high point of the assembly is the announcement of our new name and mascot. Principal reads the votes total. Bees, 3. Icebergs, 17. Hilltoppers, 1. Wombats, 32. The other 1,547 votes were all write-ins or illegible. The Merryweather Wombats has a nice ring. We are the Wombats, woozy, wicked Wombats, worried, withdrawn, weepy, weird Wombats. We pass Raven Cheerleader and Amber Cheerleader on the way to my bus. They wrinkle their brows as they struggle to rhyme wombat. Democracy is a wonderful institution. Winter break. School is out, and there are 2 days until Christmas. Mom left a note saying I can put up a tree if I want. I drag the tree out of the basement and stand in the driveway so I can sweep the dust and cobwebs out with a broom. We leave the lights on from year to year. All I have to do is hang the ornaments. There's something about Christmas that requires a rug rat. Little kids make Christmas fun. I wonder if we could rent one for the holidays. When I was tiny, we would buy a real tree and we would stay up late drinking hot chocolate, finding just the right place for special decorations. It seems like my parents gave up on the magic when I figured out that the Santa lie. Maybe I shouldn't have told them I knew where the presents really came from. It broke their hearts. I bet they'd be divorced by now if I hadn't been born. I'm sure I'm a huge disappointment. I'm not pretty or smart or athletic. I'm just like them, an ordinary drone dressed in secrets and lies. I can't believe we have to keep play acting until I graduate. It's a shame we can't just admit that we've all failed at family living, sell the house, split up the money, and get on with our lives. Merry Christmas. I call Heather, but she's shopping. What would Heather do if she were here and the house didn't feel like Christmas? I will pretend to be Heather. I bundle up in geeky snow clothes, wrap a scarf around my head, and plunge into a snowdrift. The backyard is gorgeous. The trees and bushes are all wrapped in ice, reflecting sunlight into something powerful. I just have to make a snow angel. I'd tromp into an unmarked piece of snow and let myself fall backwards. The scarf falls over my mouth as I wave my wings. The wet wool smells like first grade. Walking to school on a cold morning with milk money jangling in the tips of my mittens. We lived in a different house then, a smaller house. Mom worked at a jewelry counter and was home after school. Dad had a nicer boss and talked all the time about buying a boat. I believed in Santa Claus. The wind stirs the branches overhead. My heart clangs like a fire bell. The scarf is too tight on my mouth. I pull it off to breathe. The moisture on my skin freezes. I want to make a wish, but I don't know what to wish for, and I have snow on my back. I break off a few branches from the holly bushes and a few sprigs of pine, and I carry them inside. I tie them together with red yarn and set them on the fireplace mantel and the dining room table. It doesn't look as nice as when the lady on TV did it, but it does make the place smell better. I still wish we could borrow a kid for a few days. We sleep until noon on Christmas. I give Mom a black sweater and Dad a CD with 60s hits. They give me a handful of gift certificates, a TV for my room, ice skates, and a sketch pad with charcoal and pencils. They say they've noticed I've been drawing. I almost tell them right then and there. Tears flood into my eyes. They noticed I've been trying to draw. They noticed. I try to swallow the snowball in my throat. This isn't going to be easy. I'm sure they suspect I was at that party. Maybe they even heard about me calling the cops, but I want to tell them everything as we sit by our plastic Christmas tree while Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer video plays. I wipe my eyes. They wait with unsure smiles. The snowball grows larger. When I snuck home that night, they weren't in the house. Both cars were gone. I was supposed to have been at Rachel's all night long. They weren't expecting me, that's for sure. I showered until the hot water was gone, and then I crawled into bed and did not sleep. Mom pulled in around 2 a.m. Dad, just before sunup. They had not been together. What had they been doing? I thought I knew. How can I talk to them about that night? How can I even start? Rudolph sets out on his ice floe. I'm independent, he declares. Dad looks at his watch. Mom stuffs wrapping paper into a garbage bag. They leave the room. I'm still sitting on the floor with the paper and the charcoals. I didn't even say thank you. Hard labor. I had 2 days of freedom before my parents decided I wasn't going to lounge around the house all vacation. I have to go to work with them. I'm not legally old enough to work, but they don't care. I spent the weekend at Mom's store dealing with all the merchandise brought back by grumpy people. Did anyone in Syracuse get what they wanted for Christmas? Sure doesn't seem like it. Since I'm underage, Mom sticks me in the basement stockroom. I'm supposed to refold shirts, sticking them with 11 pins. The other employees watch me like I'm a rat, like my mother sent me to the basement to spy on them. I fold a few shirts and then kick back and take out a book. They relax. I am one of them. I don't want to be there either. Mom obviously knows I did squat, but doesn't say anything in the car. We don't leave until way after dark because she has so much work to do. Sales have sucked. She didn't get anywhere near the goal she set. Layoffs are coming. We stop at a traffic light. Mom closes her eyes. Her skin is a flat gray color, like underwear washed too many times, and is about to fall apart. I feel bad that I didn't fold more shirts for her. The next day, they send me to Dad's. He sells some kind of insurance, but I don't know how or why. He sets up a card table for me in his office. My job is to put calendars into envelopes, seal them, and stick them on mailing labels. He sits at his desk and talks to his buddies on the phone. He gets to work with his feet up. He gets to laugh with his friends on the phone. He gets to call out for lunch. I think he deserves to be in the basement folding shirts and helping my mother. I deserve to be watching cable or taking a nap or even going to Heather's house. At lunchtime, my stomach boils with anger. Dad's secretary says something nice to me when she drops off my lunch, but I don't answer her. I glare daggers at the back of my father's head. Angry, angry, angry. I have another 1,000,000 envelopes to close. My tongue over the gross, gummy envelope flap. The sharp edge of the flap cuts my tongue. I taste blood. Its face suddenly pops into my mind. All the anger whistles out of me, and I'm a pop balloon. Dad is really pissed when he sees how many calendars I've bled on. He mentions the need for professional help. I'm actually grateful to go back to school. Foul. Now there are 2 feet of snow on the ground. The phys ed teachers have made class inside. They keep the gym at about 40 degrees because a little cool air never hurt anyone. Easy for them to say, they wear sweatpants. The first inside sport is basketball. Miss Connors teaches us how to throw foul shots. I step up to the line, bounce the ball twice, and put it through the net. Miss Connors tells me to do it again and again, and she keeps bouncing balls my way, and I keep putting them up. Swish, swish, swish. 42 shots later, my arms wobble, and I miss one. By that time, the entire class is gathered around and is watching. Nicole's just about bursting. You have to join the team, she shouts. Miss Connors, meet me back here during activity period. You're going places with that arm. Me. It is a sad, downtrodden Miss Connors who meets me 3 hours later. She holds my current grades by 2 fingers. D, C, B minus, D, C minus, C, A. No basketball team for me because A was in the arts, so my GPA is a whopping 1.7. Miss Connors did not win a lacrosse scholarship by being demure or hesitant. She times me in wind sprints and then puts me back on the line to shoot. Miss Connors, try to shoot an outside shot bank. Bank it off the board, and have you ever thought about a tutor? Nice shot. It's those D's that are killing you. Try to lay up. That needs work. I could maybe do something about the social studies grade, but your English teacher is impossible. She hates sports. Do you have a hook shot? I just do what I'm told. If I felt like talking, I would explain to her that she couldn't pay me enough to play on her basketball team. All that running and sweating, getting knocked around by genetic mutants? I don't think so. Now, If basketball had a designated foul shot shooter, maybe I'd consider. The other team fouls you and you get to foul them back. Boom. But that's not how it works. In basketball or in life. Miss Connors looks so eager. I like the sensation of succeeding brilliantly at something, even if it's just dunking in foul shots one after the other.
Please make sure your attendance is
Sorry.
updated for 1 through 4 for today. Thank you.
Goodness, we have a lot. I'm almost out of time, kids. I might have to do 2 videos. I don't know. Sorry, let's, all right, here we go. I'll let her dream a few more minutes. The boys' varsity team dribbles in. Their record is 0-5. Go Wombats. Basketball pole, a.k.a. Brendan Keller, the one who contributed to my mashed potato and gravy humiliation on the first day of school, stands under the basket. The other guys run drills and pass to him. Brendan reaches up a skinny octopus tentacle and casually drops the ball through the hoop. Our boys are unbeatable as long as they're the only team on the floor. The boys' coach barks something I don't understand, and the team lines up behind basketball pole for a free throw practice. He dribbles, bounce, 2-3. He shoots, brick, bounce, 2-3, brick, brick, brick. Can't sink a shot from the line to save his skinny neck. Miss Connors talks to the boys' coach while I watch the rest of the team hit a sorry 30%. And she blows her whistle and waves me over. The boys clear out of the way, and I take my place in the line. Show 'em, commands Miss Connors. Train, seal me, bounce, bounce, up, swish. Again and again and again until the guys stop bouncing and everyone's watching. Miss Connors and basketball talk. Coach talk serious, frown talk, arms on hips, biceps flexing. The boys stare at me. Visitor from a planet foul shot? Who is this girl? Miss Connors punches Coach in the arm. Coach punches Miss Connors in the arm. They offer me a deal. If I volunteer to teach basketball pole how to swish a foul shot, I will get an automatic A in gym. I shrug my shoulders, and they grin. I couldn't say no. I couldn't say anything. I just won't show up. Coloring outside the lines. Our art room is blooming like a museum of O'Keeffe's and Van Goghs and that French guy who painted flowers with tiny dots. Mr. Freeman is the vogue teacher of the moment. There are rumors he'll be teacher of the year in the yearbook. His room is cool central. He keeps the radio on. We're allowed to eat as long as we work. He bounced a couple of slackers who confused freedom with no rules, so the rest of us don't make waves. It is just too much fun to give up. The room is full of painters and sculptors and sketchers during activity period, and some kids even stay there late until the late buses are ready to roll. Mr. Freeman's painting is coming along great. Some newspaper guy heard about it and wrote it in the article. The article claimed Mr. Freeman as a gifted genius who devoted his life to education. A color picture of the work in progress accompanied the article. Someone said a few school board members will recognize themselves. I bet they sue him. I wish Mr. Freeman would put a tree in his masterpiece. I just can't figure out how to make mine look real. I've already ruined 6 linoleum blocks. I can see it in my head, a strong oak tree with a wide scarred trunk and thousands of leaves reaching for the sun. There's a tree in front of my house just like that, and I can feel the wind blow and hear the mockingbird whistling on the way back to her nest, but when I try to carve it, it just looks like a dead tree, like toothpicks, a child's drawing. I just can't bring it to life, and I'd love to give up, quit, but I can't think of anything else to do, so I just keep chipping away at it. Principal stormed in yesterday smelling pleasure. His mustache moved up and down in a radar sweep for all things unruly. An unseen hand switched off the radio as he crossed the threshold, and bags of potato chips vanished, leaving the faint scent of salt to mix with vermilion oil paint and wet clay. He scanned the room for merriment, found only bowed heads and graceful pencils, dipping brushes. Mr. Freeman touched up the dark roots on the head of a lady school board member and asked Principal needed help. Principal stalked out of the room in direction of the human waste smoking haven. Maybe I'll be an artist if I grow up. Poster child. Heather left a note in my locker begging me to go to her house after school. She's in big trouble. She is not meeting Martha's standards. She sobs out the story in her room, and I listen and pick lint balls off my sweater. The Marthas held a craft meeting to make a Valentine pillows for little kids who are in the hospital. Meg and Emily sewed on 3 sides of pillows, while the others stuffed, stitched, and glued on hearts and teddy bears. Heather was in charge of hearts. She was flustered because a few Marthas didn't like her outfit. They yelled at her for gluing the hearts on crooked, and then the top of the glue bottle came off and completely ruined the pillow. At this point of the story, she throws a doll across her room. I move the nail polish out of reach. Meg demoted Heather to pillow stuffing. Once the pillow production line was again rolling smoothly, the meeting began. Topic: the canned food drive. The senior Marthas are in charge of delivering the food to the needy, with a newspaper photographer present, and meeting with the principal to coordinate whatever needs to be coordinating. I zone out. She talks about who's in charge of a classroom, captains, and who's in charge of publicity, and I don't know it all. I come back to earth until Heather says, "I knew you wouldn't mind, Mel." Me. What? Heather, "I knew you wouldn't mind helping. I think Emily did it on purpose. She doesn't like me. I was going to ask you to help, and then I said I'd do it by myself, but that would have been lying. And besides, they would have stuck me with all the poster work for the rest of the year. So I said I'd have a friend who is really artistic and community-oriented could she help with the posters?" Me. Who? Laughing now, but I still hold on to the nail polish. You silly. You draw better than me, and you have plenty of time. Please say you'll do it. Maybe they'll ask you to join too once they see how talented you are. Please, please. Whipped cream, chopped nuts, and a cherry on top, please. If I screw this up, I know they'll blacklist me, and then I'll never be part of any of the groups. How could I say no? Now just see how much we have here. Oh my goodness. 3-4 pages. Oh my goodness. How much time do we have? I'll keep reading until I have to go. This is after school, in case you didn't know this, kiddies. Dead frogs. Our biology class has graduated from fruit to frogs. We were scheduled to do the frog unit until April, but the frog company delivered our victims on January 14th. Pickled frogs have a way of disappearing from the storage closet, so today Miss Keene armed us with knives and told us not to gag. David Petrakis, my lab partner, is thrilled. Anatomy at last. There are lists to memorize, the hopping bones connected to the jumping bone, the ribbit bones connected to the fly-catching bone. He seriously talks about wearing one of those doctor masks over his face while we operate. He thinks it would be good practice. The room does not smell like apple, it smells like frog juice, a cross between nursing home and potato salad. The back row pays attention. Cutting dead frogs is cool. Our frog lies on her back, waiting for a prince to come and princify her with a smooch. I stand over with my knife. Miss Keene fades to mosquito wine. My throat closes off. It's hard to breathe. I put my hand out to steady myself against the table. David pins her froggy hands to the dissection tray. He spreads her froggy legs and pins her froggy feet. I have to slice open her belly. She doesn't say a word. She's already dead. A scream starts in my gut. I can feel the cut, smell the dirt, the leaves in my hair. I don't remember passing out. David says I hit my head on the edge of the table on my way down. The nurse calls my mom because I need stitches. The doctor stares into the back of my eyes with a bright light. Can she read the thoughts hidden back there? If she can, what will she do? Call the cops? Send me to the nut house? Do I want her to? I just want to sleep. The whole point of not talking about it, of silencing the memory, is to make it go away, and it won't. I need brain surgery to cut it out of my head. Maybe I should just wait until David Petrakis is a doctor and let him do it. Model citizen. Heather has landed a modeling job at the department store in the mall. She says she was buying socks with her mother the week after her braces came off, and some lady asked if she modeled. I suspect that her dad works for the mall management company had something to do with it. The modeling gig is paying off big in major Martha points. They all want to be Heather's new best friend, but she asked me to go with her for the bathing suit shoot. I think she's afraid to screw it up in front of them. Heather's mother drives us. She asks if I want to be a model. Heather says I'm too shy. I look at her mother's eyes watching me in the rearview mirror and hide my mouth with my fingers. The scabs on my lips are especially gross in that little rectangled mirror. Of course I want to be a model. I want to paint my eyelids gold. I saw that on a magazine cover and it looked amazing. Turned a model into a sexy alien that everyone would look at, but nobody dared touch. I like cheeseburgers too much to be a model. Heather has stopped eating and complains about fluid retention. She should worry more about brain retention, the way she's dieting away her gray matter. At last check, she was wearing a size 1.5, and she just has to get down to a size 1. The photo shoot is in a building cold enough to store ice. Heather looks like our Thanksgiving turkey wearing a blue bikini. Her goosebumps are bigger than her boobs. I'm shivering, and I'm wearing my ski jacket and a wool sweater. The photographer turns up the radio and starts bossing the girls around. Heather totally gets into it. She throws her head back, stares at the camera, flashes her teeth. The photographer keeps saying, "Sexy, sexy, very cute, look this way. Sexy, think beach, think boys." It creeps me out. Heather sneezes in the middle of a group pose, and her mother runs in with tissues. It must be catching. My throat is killing me. I want a nap. I don't buy the gold eyeshadow, but I do pick up a bottle of Black Death nail polish. It's gloomy with squiggly lines of red in it. My nails are bitten to the bleeding point, so it will look natural. I need to get a shirt that matches. Something in tubercular gray. Death by algebra. Mr. Stepman just won't give up. He's determined to prove that once and for all that algebra is something we will use the rest of our lives. If he succeeds, I think they should give him Teacher of the Century Award and a 2-week vacation in Hawaii, all expenses paid. He comes to class each day with new real-life application. It is sweet that he cares enough about algebra and his students to want to bring them together. He's like a grandfather who wants to fix up the two young kids that he just knows would make a great couple. Only the kids have nothing in common and they hate each other. Today's application has something to do with buying guppies at the pet store and calculating how many guppies you would breed if you wanted to go to the guppy business. Once the guppies turn to X's and Y's, my contacts fog. Class ends with a debate between animal rights activists who say it's immoral to own fish and the red-blooded capitalists who know lots of better ways to make money than investing in fish that eat their young. I watch snow falling outside. Word work. Hairwoman is torturing us with essays. Do English teachers spend their vacations dreaming these things up? The first essay this semester was a dud. Why America is Great in 500 words. She gave us 3 weeks. Only Tiffany Wilson turned it in on time, but the assignment was not a complete failure. Hairwoman runs the drama club, and she recruited several new members based on their performances as to why they needed an extension. She has a warped sense of humor as well as a demented beautician. The next essay was supposed to be fictional. The best lost homework excuse ever in 500 words. We had one night and no one was late. But now Hairwoman's on a roll. How I would change high school, lowering the driving age to 14, the perfect job. Her topics are fun, but she keeps cranking them out, one after the next. First, she broke our spirits by overwhelming us with work we couldn't really complain about because the topics are the kind of things we talk about all the time. Recently, she started sneaking grammar, shudder, into the classroom. One day, we worked on verb tenses. I surfed the net, I surfed the net, I was surfing the net. Then lively adjectives. Does it sound better to say, Nicole's old lacrosse stick hit me on the head, or Nicole's barf yellow gnarled bloodstain lacrosse stick hit me in the head. She even tried to teach us the difference between active voice, I snarfed the Oreos, and passive voice, the Oreos got snarfed. Words are hard work. I hope they send Hairwoman to a conference or something. I'm ready to help pay for a sub. Let's see how much longer we have. You know what? I'm going to have to hit the pause button here, and I will make another video for naming the monster. I'll write that down, page 85. Write that down real quick. All right, so we'll pick it up on our next video when I have more time, so I got to get rolling. All right, we'll talk to you in, well, for me, it'll be tomorrow. For you, in just a few happy seconds.